The old Jude's Asylum sat like a petrified skeleton on the outskirts of Havenwood, its towering brick facade crumbling, its once manicured grounds swallowed by thorny weeds. For decades, it had housed the town's forgotten, its broken minds. Now, only a small section served as a county morgue, a desolate chamber beneath the forgotten surgical wings. This was where I, Elias Thorne, found myself on my first night shift, the silence amplifying the thrum of ancient machinery and the frantic beat of my own heart. The air was a perpetual chill, heavy with the scent of chemicals and something else, something faintly metallic, like old blood. Sir Sterling, my supervisor, a man whose face seemed permanently etched with the weariness of 1,000 midnight shifts, had given me a quick, brusque tour. His voice had dropped to a near whisper as we neared a heavy, unlocked steel door at the very end of the lowest corridor. "This here," had said, his eyes starting to the shadows, "is the vault. Never go in. Never even look at it. It's for special cases. The barrel babies, they used to call them. Best to leave sleeping things like Elias." It clapped me on the shoulder, a gesture devoid of warmth, and vanished, leaving me alone with the oppressive quiet and that ominous door. At first, it was just the building settling, I told myself, the creaks and groans of a century-old structure. But soon the sounds grew more distinct. A faint, high-pitched whimper, like a lost kitten. Then a low, sorrowful moan, almost human. It seemed to emanate directly from behind the vault door. At pace, checked the locks on the cadaver drawers, tried to busy myself, but the sounds burrowed into my mind, insistent and unsettling. Surely it was vermin. Perhaps the old plumbing. But no, it was too regular, too melodic in its sorrow. My veteran colleague, old man Finch, found me one dawn, slumped against a gurney, my eyes bloodshot. Finch had worked at Jude since before it became a forgotten relic. His skin like parchment, his gaze distant. "You heard him, haven't you, son?" he rasped, his voice barely audible. I asked him about the sounds from the vault. Finn's eyes widened, a flicker of raw terror in their depths. He seized my arm, his grip surprisingly strong. "Leave them be, Elias, for the love of God. Leave the little ones undisturbed. They ain't no animals, boy. They ain't. And if you go in there, she'll know. She always knows." His words hung in the cold air, thick with unspoken dread, and he retreated, leaving me with a chill that had nothing to do with the morgue's temperature. The nights grew colder, the sounds more explicit. Distinct, infantile wails mingled with eerie, disjointed giggles. Sometimes, I swore I heard a woman's soft lullaby, followed by heart-wrenching sobs. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford, my mind a churning vortex of fear and morbid fascination. The vault pulsed with an unseen life, a gravitational pull I fought with every fiber of my being. But the whispers, the cries, they promised answers. They promised the ultimate horror. And I, like a moth to a flickering flame, found myself drawn closer. One moonless night, the crescendo of despair from the vault became unbearable. A mournful keening, laced with furious, choked screams, erupted from behind the steel door, twisting my sanity. My hands, acting of their own accord, found the cold, unforgiving latch. It clicked open with a sound like a distant gunshot. The air that rushed out was a noxious wave, thick with formaldehyde, stagnant water, and an unspeakable, cloying sweetness, like decaying orchids. My stomach lurched. Lantern light cut through the oppressive darkness within. The vault was larger than I imagined, a long, narrow chamber lined floor to ceiling with row upon row of tarnished, metallic barrels. Some were sealed with ancient clamps, others simply had heavy, rusted lids. The sounds were deafening now, surrounding me, pressing in from all sides. My breath hitched in my throat as I reached for the nearest barrel, my fingers trembling. The lid was cold, slimy with condensation. I heaved it open. The sight that met my eyes extinguished all doubt, all rational explanation. Submerged in a murky, amber liquid, a tiny, malformed human form floated, pale and eyeless, its limbs strangely contorted. A preserved infant, no larger than my hand, its silent, perpetual scream frozen in time. "Are all babies?" I whispered, the words catching in my throat, a sick, twisted mockery of life. My gaze darted from one barrel to the next, seeing that now the dozens, hundreds of tiny, macabre occupants of Jude's forgotten nursery. They were all there, the source of the terrible wails, the desolate cries. My mind fractured as I slammed the lid back onto the barrel. A whisper, cold as grave dust, breathed directly into my ear. "Have you found my child?" I spun around, heart hammering against my ribs, and there she was. A woman, ethereal and translucent, in a tattered gown of faded white. Her long, black hair hung in a shroud, obscuring her face, but I could feel the unbearable weight of her sorrow, her rage. She drifted above the rows of barrels, her spectral hand extended, slender fingers reaching, trembling. The air around her pulsed with a glacial cold, and I could hear the phantom wailing of countless infants, louder now, a symphony of lost souls. This was the mother, the keeper of the vault, and she had known all along. I screamed, a raw, guttural sound that tore from my chest. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own feet, desperate to escape the spectral mother and her silent, screaming children. I burst from the vault, slamming the heavy door shut, my body convulsing. I ran blindly through the abandoned corridors, out into the Perdon chill, my breath ragged, my mind unraveling. I quit that very morning, never looking back. But the vault, you see, it follows you. The silence of my small apartment is now a cruel deception. In the quietest hours, when the world sleeps, I hear them. The faint, mournful cries, the distant, unsettling giggles, and sometimes, just sometimes, the soft, heart-rending lullaby of a mother who never found peace. She knows where I live, and she is always searching,